Hello, Gemini, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot. My name is Laura, and these will be your intuitive insights for mid-March into the beginning of April 2023. This reading will be for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And so by all means, if you know your three major placements, you can listen to any and all of the readings that apply, as each one may resonate for you differently. And as always, before we get started, please do keep in mind these readings are general in nature. They're meant to apply to a more broad collective of individuals, so that means not necessarily all details will make sense for you. I highly recommend you take anything and everything that does resonate for you, however that makes sense or connects to your personal situation, and use your discretion in determining what is best for you, and you can simply leave the rest. So Gemini, I hope you're doing well. Happy March. We're just on the verge of spring, which is super exciting. I'm very excited to be here with you today. I've got your oracle message, which we will get into. I will pull some tarot. We will finish off with a couple of additional oracle messages and some affirmations, and I'll share a couple of channeled messages. And before we get into your card, I will take a moment to share with you the channeled energetic impression that I was picking up on as I was preparing preparing for your reading. And it was really interesting. I got this sense of like wanting to talk about something. So it's like either wanting to talk about something that's going on with you. Maybe there's a specific topic that's on your mind, maybe within a particular relationship. It could be, having a number of things to kind of like, speak to a therapist about, to kind of gain some insight or clarity. Maybe important conversations that need to be had. But I also got this sense of like a lot of things feeling kind of up in the air. Like that was the thing that was in my head, is up in the air. A sense of a bit of instability, and not, it could be in a stressful kind of way, but it was kind of in the sense of potentially having a lot of options, or maybe having a lot of decisions that need to be made, like things that need to be figured out. And the decisions may not be all yours to make. So you could have a number of things to think on, but you might also be in a position where you're waiting on other people to either make decisions or to do their part, like before you can kind of pick up and run with it. There was definitely a sense of like, maybe things are just a little bit out of sorts, like kind of feeling as though they're out of your control, and you may be in a bit of a wait and see kind of energy over these next few weeks. And along with that, potentially like the sense of a lack of control, or maybe like decisions that are yet to be made, things that are kind of in the works. You might be experiencing a lack of clarity. The sense that I got was kind of like a brain fog. So just like, when there's something there, but you don't quite know what it is, right? Like, so you're on the verge of something, maybe like a breakthrough, or there's something potentially like subconsciously that's bothering you that needs to be resolved, or just like maybe just not having all the information that you need to make an empowered decision, or kind of like get that clarity that's really going to help you move forward. And the thing that I would say that kind of came along with that is I very much picked up on a sense that things may be balancing out for you currently, or you may be guided to kind of work on balancing things out. So, the things that you're waiting on, or the things that you're not sure about, like obviously you can't act on, but, taking action where you can, focusing on where your power is, what you have the power to control, what you have the power to move forward on, and what you're just kind of waiting on, and just kind of being conscious and aware, because it may just be that things are kind of in this energy, if that resonates for you, because you're kind of meant to balance out, or things in your environment and relationships may be balancing out, and so like action is just maybe not supported right now. And the other thing that came through that I will say is you may be somebody who's prone to, like, it was SAD, like seasonal affective disorder, or like people call it seasonal depression, which I think is relatively common, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, because we have like 6 months of cold, dreary weather and limited daylight. So we just had the clocks go forward. So we've got a little bit more daylight. We're on the verge of spring. So I will say if that's something that you struggle with, it's just keep in mind that, the days are getting longer. We're getting closer and closer to spring. And this winter season isn't going to last forever. So things will lighten up eventually. But yeah, that may just be something that you contend with. All right, so let's get into your card. So your oracle message for these next few weeks is showing up as Treasure Island. And so I will say, like, this is a mid-month reading into the beginning of April, but this energy is your overall kind of theme. So it might be an energy that you're already in. There might be evidence of that already, things that you've been working through. And you are not the first sign to have this card this month. I believe Pisces also had Treasure Island. So maybe you have Pisces in your chart. Perhaps you are close with a Pisces. Maybe you're in partnership with a Pisces in one way or another. Because this card is all about abundance and prosperity. Like, this is an auspicious card. It's a good time to take action. Well, not necessarily take action, because you will know what the right step is for you. But this is basically saying, like, if there's something related to your material abundance, your job, perhaps there's like a passion project or something that's been on your mind. This is an auspicious time to either make the decision to move toward that, or perhaps put a little bit more effort into it, because your creativity is highlighted, inspiration is high. It's kind of like being in a period where, I don't want to say that you have the Midas touch, but there is a sense of the things that you're inspired by and the things that you are longing to move toward are showing potential for abundance to materialize, like, in the physical, right? So even if it's just an idea or a concept, or maybe it's something that's kind of in its infancy, you may be seeing or realizing that there is a potential for that to manifest or materialize in a really tangible way. And that could go hand in hand with some kind of prosperity or abundance. And this is also a sense of, if there's something that you've been working on or pouring yourself into for a long time, and perhaps not necessarily seeing a great deal of progression, or maybe you haven't kind of gotten the results or found the success that you're looking for, this card kind of goes along with the fact that you might start to see a return on that investment. You might start to see those things coming in, and it could be completely unexpected. Just because you may have been in this energy of, like, not seeing things kind of develop. And the other thing about this card that I think is really, really important is that it is connected to the idea of the law of attraction and how that impacts our ability to manifest. So with the law of attraction, it's kind of like whatever you think and feel and focus on is what you experience, right? And that's what you see in your environment. And that's going to influence the decisions that you make and the steps that you take. And so every time this card comes up, I remind people to check in with themselves and see, like, what is your relationship to the idea of abundance and prosperity? It could be financial. It could be like in terms of material goods. It could even be in terms of your time, right? Your time and energy and your love. Those are resources that you have, a limited amount of each day that you can use either to work for you, or it can work against you. Or sometimes we pour that energy into others and we end up feeling depleted. And especially when it comes to our resources and it comes to the ways that we can experience abundance, do we believe that there's more out there for us? Do we believe we have enough? Do we believe that we are worthy of more? Do we believe that there are opportunities to connect with more? And there are ways that the universe can surprise us with abundance that we might not ever, think of. So it's kind of just being open, whereas the lack mindset, the poverty kind of mindset, is like, there's a limited amount of resources and I don't have enough and there isn't enough for me, and I'm worried that I'm not going to connect with opportunities. I'm worried that I'm never going to make more money, or I'm never going to have enough savings, or I'm never going to afford that house. And it's basically just saying like the power of your focus and your intention is that whatever it is that you're believing and telling yourself is influencing the decisions that you're making. You're putting that out, and that's what comes back to you. So you really do have the power, if you are looking to connect with more prosperity and abundance, to just kind of examine your relationship to it. Are you open to abundance? Are you open to opportunity, right? If you say you want to have more, do you actually welcome opportunities to potentially connect with more, even if they're not opportunities that you would have constructed for yourself or expected to be options, right? So this is about seeing the way that the world can surprise us when we're ready to receive more and we're ready to take the action and put the work in to get there. Sometimes the path there can be really surprising, right? And sometimes we can get to our end destination in a manner that we never would have expected. So definitely, however you relate to abundance versus lack mindset, because this can also have a bit of a Four of Pentacles energy, which is like the miser card, which can be a fear of not having enough resources. And it's like, maybe I have enough, like I have just enough that I feel stable, but I don't feel like it's enough to be happy, but I'm getting by and I've got what I need. And so I'm afraid. I'm afraid to spend. I'm afraid to lose more. I'm afraid to take chances or pursue, like go back to school or pursue a new line of work, or go like get a new job, or go for that promotion. We can sometimes become so afraid of not having enough or losing what we do have that we kind of limit ourselves to staying in a place of lack, essentially. So this is about being open to abundance, connecting with it, receiving it, having gratitude for all that you do have, and expressing a willingness to share that, right? Because gifts and treasure, when shared, multiply. It's a really wonderful, beautiful energy. It's a really prosperous energy. And it's kind of, like I said, it's auspicious, right? So you may be having some good luck and some good fortune when it comes to that kind of material stability. But like I said, it really does depend on your relationship to that concept and how open you are, like how willing you are to receive. And sometimes we do have to step a little bit outside of the comfort zone to connect with opportunities for this to flow in. And I also said to Pisces that you may have a connection to a turtle, because there is a turtle on this card. But yeah, the interesting thing is that, so Treasure Island, but it's not an island, it's a turtle. So this treasure chest is on the turtle's back and it's floating like an island, but it's obviously going to be moving around. And I think that's a really good metaphor for like the flow of life, right? And how there's always a flow of energy, there's a flow of resources and abundance. And sometimes we don't know how we're going to connect with that, right? So it's like, even if you had a treasure map, if this island is constantly moving around, how do you know exactly where it is, right? So you kind of have to intuitively follow what makes sense to you, right? Because this is saying there might be a lot of opportunities, but they might not be completely obvious, and they might not be like the most practical, logical thing. It might be more of an intuitive nudge, right? And so it's getting to know what opportunities are available, and kind of trusting your intuition to discern what might be beneficial for you, because you could have a lot of opportunity and there could be a lot of hidden treasure, but you have to know like when X marks the spot for you, and that's something that's very unique to your situation. So we're gonna get you some tarot and see what might be going on here. Okay, so your first card this month is the Emperor. Your second card this month is the Seven of Pentacles. And your third card this month is the Two of Swords. And we've got the Four of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Okay. It's interesting. I've noticed like most of the readings that I've done thus far, between the 3 or 4 cards that come up, there's a really good spread of elements. So like here we've got the Emperor, which is fire. We've got 7 of Pentacles, which is earth, 2 of Swords, which is air, and then 4 of Swords is air. So yeah, and I think March really does seem to be about kind of trying to balance out and integrate these different elements and their qualities, right? Balancing out the strengths and the weaknesses and kind of trying to bring them all in together, like to take the best of each energy and have it kind of meld and work together. Um, I just thought of like a prism, right? So how like prism can take like a beam of light and spread it out. It's kind of like the reverse of that, right? So it's like taking all of this in, funneling it and integrating it into one, straight path forward. That's like the vision, the image that I just got in my head. So you may be trying to do that, is like pull things from a bunch of different places, pull a bunch of different ideas and a bunch of different skills, and figure out which ones are going to work most effectively for you and have them kind of work in coordination with each other. And this could be like you on a personal level, but it also could be in collaboration with other people, right? Like you might have a lot of moving parts. So with the 4 of Swords at the bottom of the deck, this is kind of the underlying energy, or like past influencing energy. It could be deep past, it could be recent past, something that's still impacting you. But the 4 of Swords is all about a period of kind of like quiet rest and recuperation. And it does have a very healing energy. So it could be, recovering from an illness or an injury or something like that. It could be recovering from heartbreak or, just stress or challenging times. Or it could be, if you've just been particularly busy and you've had a lot going on and now you're in a period where things feel maybe a little bit slower moving or stagnant. This is just that very quiet energy. It's not really looking outward. It's not worried about movement. It's not taking any kind of action, right? You see, she's just in this kind of little nest here. And so, perhaps you have been in a more dormant, restful period, or perhaps you're coming out of that. And that may be related to this idea that there might be some delayed gratification, like kind of maybe a sense of waiting for your ships to come in, or having put in the work but having to wait a little bit in order for things to materialize or to be able to firmly move forward in a tangible way. And this is also like dealing with thoughts and perceptions and beliefs. So there could be healing in terms of your perception of yourself or others, the world in general, perhaps your perceptions and your beliefs about money and abundance and what is available to you, what opportunities there are. You may be doing some healing and some introspection to kind of get yourself in a place where you are ready to really take charge and move forward in a meaningful direction, because your first card, your advice, like what you need to know right now, showing up as the Emperor, that is a very confident, strong, take charge kind of energy. It's a visionary, masterful. Quite often it's kind of like this like big boss energy. Like, so someone who has the vision and the power, they're very intelligent, they're very strategic, they're bold and confident, so they're able to take quick and decisive action, and they're not necessarily doing everything themselves. This is kind of like being in a leadership role. So like leading from leading by example, right? So like, and people say leading from the front, but I think this is more leading from the middle, right? Because it's getting people on board with what you want done and how you want it done, and having the ability to inspire people to see your vision and to feel your passion, to be connected to whatever that is, right? And so you don't have to be leading other people, but it just could be that you have either a more dominant kind of leadership type of personality. Maybe you're in a position where people often look to you to kind of set the tone. But that's very much what this is, right? And this is also a very entrepreneurial energy. So if you are someone who has their own business, if you've been thinking about starting your own business, or you have like a little side venture, or even if it just comes to a creative outlet and hobbies, this is kind of like the energy of having the master plan, having the vision, having the skill and the confidence to know how to execute it and how to move forward. So it can be a pretty quick and decisive energy. This is Aries energy. So maybe you have, maybe you have a connection to Aries, maybe in your chart, or perhaps there's someone that you're working with, but it's being able to take that energy and passion and translate that into some kind of tangible forward movement. And if you need to get people on board, focusing them in that direction too. So it looks like taking action on whatever it is that you're passionate about or whatever inspires you. This is a very solid and stable energy, right? So from what I can tell, depending on how this resonates for you, of course, this may be a really good time to either, it's not necessarily a beginning, it might be something that you've already kind of had in the works, but to really just either take action or keep moving forward, or perhaps put a little bit more of your energy and resources into whatever this is. Because I think with the Emperor here, to take this enterprising energy in an auspicious period where prosperity is highlighted, I think it's like, if you can work with that abundance mindset and you believe that there are doors open for you, and you have a curiosity, like you have an idea of where you want to go, but you have a curiosity and an openness in terms of how that might unfold for you, I think that confidence and that passion can carry you through the unknown periods, and the unknown aspects of it might be what inspires that kind of lack mentality, or the worry that things might not work out, or that you might lose out, right? And so I think, what do they say? Like, fortune favors the brave or the bold or whatever. That's what I'm getting from this kind of energy showing up together. And it's actually really kind of interesting, because your challenge this month is showing up as the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is all about starting to see the results of the seeds that we have planted, right? The intentions that we've set, the decisions that we've made, the work that we've been putting in. So sometimes what happens is, like, especially when it comes to tangible steps that we're taking, like, being consistent in a practice of something, whether it's work, whether it's school, whether it's a hobby, whether it's showing up in a relationship, it can be anything for anyone, because this is all about, like, what is it? Like, what was the intention? What are you trying to grow? What are you trying to achieve or to cultivate? And it's recognizing that everything takes time, right? And there are cycles. There are times to plant, and there are times to tend. There are times to to harvest and receive abundance. And then there's a time for rest where, it's not really suitable for anything to be planted, and it's just a period of kind of waiting, right? And so this is a reminder to kind of flow with the cycle, right? Because it's really difficult to plant seeds and make things happen if the environment isn't suitable, and also to recognize that if things aren't working out, then perhaps the environment needs to be adjusted, right? Because, they say, like, we don't blame a plant for not blooming, right? We blame the environment, right? The water, the sunshine, the nutrients, the soil, that kind of thing. And so this is kind of all about the time and the energy and the dedication and the consistency that it can take to put in the work to make things happen, right? So it's like, things don't necessarily just materialize immediately. And it's that process of slowly, showing up each and every day, putting in, getting a little step closer. Day by day, you may not feel that you're getting closer, or you may not see the results that you're looking for, right? And it can be difficult to maintain your confidence and maintain that forward momentum, and trust that you're getting to where you're going, right? Trust that this thing that you're trying to grow or manifest is, in progress, and it will come to fruition if you stay the course. This is what the Seven of Pentacles energy is all about. It's recognizing that you're putting that energy in, and it's a process, right? And And the process never finishes. Like we kind of, even after we harvest, there's still steps to be taken, right, to prepare for the next. So, it's maintaining the focus and believing that your work is paying off, and believing that what you're putting in is building something, even if you can't see it, right? And this is the trouble, is that sometimes we put a lot of time and energy into things, and they're important to us, and we don't necessarily see those tangible results, right? We don't necessarily see it manifesting in an obvious physical way. So this might be something that you struggle with. It's like, it could be like an instant gratification thing. It could be confidence in terms of doubting yourself because you feel as though you should be further along than you are. You feel like you should have, seen more results, or you doubt if the work that you're doing is actually working. And this is kind of like, if you relate to that at all, I would say this is kind of reminding you that, there's a lot of things under the surface, right? There are a lot of things being woven, and there are a lot of, like, this kind of energy, are the things that we manifest. It's very nuanced. There are so many kind of moving parts. Everything is interconnected. And so, we can only do what we can do, which is show up each day, hold the vision, put the effort in, and try not to get too much in our heads about how we're doing, or how long it's going to take, or what we're going to see. And the funny thing is too, because this Treasure Island card specifically says, like, it's seeing the fruits of your labor, right? So seeing the seeds that you may have planted long ago, and you may have been tending patiently and waiting on for a long time, finally coming to fruition. And that's kind of this energy here, right? Is like, you see there's just a little, I don't know, like a little sapling or something. Like, it's finally broken through, and it's growing, and it's starting to flourish, but it's still in its infancy, right? And so it still needs time and attention and care, but at least you're seeing that there is that kind of obvious physical manifestation of these seeds that were planted and out of sight, and not and the growth and progression wasn't necessarily visible. So I would say, like, and this doesn't even have to be a tangible thing. This could be your personal growth. It could be spiritual. It could be emotional. It could be healing. It could be working in, like, on your relationships, right? So I think it's important just not to fall into doubt about, if you're if you're doing the right thing, if you're far enough along, if your work is paying off. And it's just recognizing that we don't necessarily always see the exact physical manifestation of the amount of effort that we're putting into something immediately. Like, sometimes it's delayed and delayed. And if you are experiencing something like that, it's reminding you that this could just be a process of you, it could be a period where you're learning discipline, right? And where you're learning to balance your thoughts and your emotions, and to remain confident and committed to whatever it is that you're trying to create, even though there is room for doubt, right? Because we need to be able to push through that. And the Emperor energy is really good. So you have that energy on your side this month to help you power through any doubts about whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, which is really nice. And finally, your advice for working through the Seven of Pentacles energy, it's kind of like freeing yourself, making a decision, taking off the blindfold. So however this energy may relate to you in your specific situation, whether it's like you're at a fork in the road and there's a decision to be made, if there's something that you started that you kind of put on the back burner, it may be time to make the decision to invest back into it. If there's a decision that you need to make in terms of leaving one thing for another, starting something new. The Two of Swords is all about having a decision that needs to be made, right? And so if you relate to this, you probably know, like, you need to make a decision. You can't stay where you are forever. Like, there's something that needs to be done. And this isn't a decision that can be avoided, right? Like, sometimes because we don't feel ready to decide, or we don't feel we have the information we need to make a decision confidently, we just kind of procrastinate, right? And put it off. But not making a decision at the end of the day is a decision. It's just not necessarily an empowered one, and it's not necessarily going to take you in a direction that you're going to like, right? So as difficult as it can be to kind of take that blindfold off and make the decision, if you put the time in to like check in with yourself and see what it is that you want, give yourself permission to move in that direction, you can feel a lot better about the unknowns, because inevitably there will be unknowns and there will be challenges. But this is about kind of reclaiming your power when it comes to that decision, especially if you have a lot of fear and doubt and worry swirling around, especially if you're the type of person that likes to overthink and potentially gets into analysis paralysis. The traditional depiction of the Two of Swords is somebody with a blindfold on and they're holding two swords. Right. And so the idea is they have the blindfold on. So there's a sense that, there's information that isn't available to them. They don't necessarily see everything. And that can lead to not knowing everything or having all the information that you may need to feel confident about your decision. But the thing is, like, it's hard to take the blindfold off when you've got two swords in your hand. So you have to drop one to take the blindfold off, right? So inevitably, by dropping one sword, you're making a decision. And that's the idea. So I will encourage you by saying that, there really are no wrong choices, right? Because each choice that we make is going to lead us down a certain path of particular experiences. And, we're meant to learn, we're meant to experience, we're meant to grow. Sometimes we make decisions that we feel are mistakes because we don't like the way they've turned out, but those are valuable learning opportunities. We learn more about ourselves and we have that insight and that clarity moving forward, right? And so if you approach decisions like that there is no wrong decision, there just may be a decision that feels more aligned based on where you're at and what you're looking for. But inevitably, like, we're still going to have these important experiences. We're going to learn these lessons and we're going to grow as long as we're open to it. And so it's trusting that it's okay to just let your heart kind of help guide you, right? Because how do you know, right? How do you know what decision to make so that you can finally take that blindfold off and see what path you're going down? Right? So sometimes the clarity doesn't come until after we make the decision. And so the decision has to be made just kind of on a more intuitive level. And that can feel scary, but that's okay. Right? Because it's remembering with this Emperor energy, like, once you choose the path and once you see what you're working with, this Emperor energy is going to help you to feel confident, right? And it's also a very magnetic energy, a very inspiring energy. Like, people want to be around the Emperor, people want to follow the Emperor. And that can be really beneficial, particularly if you are doing something entrepreneurial or, trying to get something off the ground. But yeah, so it's okay. Like, you don't have to know how everything is going to turn out in order to make a decision, right? And you're never going to know. You're never going to know if you've got like a fork in the path and you could go left or right. You're never going to know exactly what's going to happen in both outcomes, right? You just have to make the best decision you can with the information that you have and with the information that's intuitively available to you. And then it's a matter of just committing to that path and trusting that you can move forward, trusting that you have the strength to overcome anything that comes your way, and just kind of trying to keep yourself balanced when it comes to just continuing to move forward and putting that effort in until you see those results start manifesting in your physical environment, right? Okay, so I'm going to leave the cards there, but I'm going to share quickly a couple of channeled messages that I connected with before I got your cards out, and then we'll get you a couple of final oracle messages as some additional insight and advice. So your first channeled message that came through was opening closed doors. And so what I thought was really interesting is it wasn't just opening doors, it's opening closed doors. And so the thing that it made me think is you may be somebody who kind of, not somebody who does this, but you may be in a position where you are tempted to kind of go back to the past. It could be past relationships, past lessons. So anything that you've kind of moved on from, particularly like a lesson you've learned, a skill you've learned, something that you've moved past and kind of shut the door on. I think it's really important to make sure that those doors, you shut them for a reason, and it's not necessarily going to serve you to go back and open them, right? To return to that energy. And if you are returning to that energy, it's about being very conscious and aware of why you're doing it and what you're looking to get out of it, right? Because we don't want to wrap ourselves up in cycles that we've already kind of overcome, right? We don't want to tie our energy up there. And also, it could just be like, feeling as though in order to connect with opportunity, you have to like go out and do the work and find the opportunities. And with this treasure island showing up, it's saying opportunity is there. So there may very well be open doors that are available to you right now that you are being invited in, and all you have to do is step through, as opposed to looking for doors and trying to open ones that are closed, right? Because if they're closed for a reason. Perhaps it's not yet time for that opportunity to be opened up for you, or perhaps, like I said, it's something from the past that you've already kind of closed the door on. So yeah, I don't know how that might resonate for you, but I would encourage you to see, like, before you go opening or knocking on a closed door, what kinds of opportunities are available to you that you might just be able to flow into, right? Because that could be the universe's way of guiding you along the path, as there might be a path of, not least resistance, but like less resistance. The next message that came through for you was educated guess. And so I kind of got the sense that it could be in life, love, relationships, work, school. You may feel as though you're someone who's constantly guessing. You may not feel confident in your ability to discern, or you might, it may not even be a confidence thing. It might be that you undercut yourself or sell yourself short in terms of your awareness and your capability. And so you don't necessarily give yourself credit for being capable and having the knowledge to make effective decisions. So you kind of treat yourself as though you're always guessing. So that could go hand in hand with imposter syndrome, if that's something that you relate to. And the other thing that comes up with educated guess is the reason it may feel like that kind of energy is that you may be someone who works in the gray a lot. Like, there may not be a lot of black and white, very clear, very structured boundaries, right? And especially if you're working with people, like obviously in our interpersonal relationships, but if for work or like volunteering, you're working with people, you're working in the humanities, there is a lot of gray area, right? And so there is not necessarily an exact structured textbook approach, right? And it can often feel like a guess because there is a certain amount of trial and error and, feeling things out as a result of like what is going on in the circumstance, what past is informing it, the direction that things are moving in. Like, there are a lot of things to take into consideration. And so it's just remembering, like, we do the best that we can. But, if you are somebody who jokes about making educated guesses and that's a way of kind of like undercutting or teasing yourself, or if that's something that you feel a little bit insecure about, I would just remind you to claim your ability, not in an egotistical kind of way, but to see the truth of the matter, because I don't get the impression that you're constantly guessing. And if you feel like you're constantly guessing, or you're just making guesses and like throwing things to the wind, then maybe that's a sign that you need additional support, right? Yeah, I'll leave that to you. And your final message that came through was formulating plans. And so I thought it was interesting that it was formulating instead of just forming plans. So with formulating, I got the sense of it being like, very, very in-depth, detailed plans, potentially like tailored to you. Maybe you make, plans that are tailored to each individual person. Like, there's a lot of things taken into consideration. And it's kind of like the idea of tailoring it so much and making it so detailed that it's fail-proof. So I don't know how you might relate to that. But yeah, it's definitely not like haphazardly forming plans, but it's very pointed and strategic. There's like a science to it, to try and ensure that plan is going to be successful for whatever individual it may apply to. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that's something that you're working through. Maybe you're trying to develop a really formulated plan for yourself in terms of how you move forward. So I'm going to get you a couple final oracle messages. I'm going to use the Crystal Spirits Oracle. It's been really interesting just seeing how aligned some of the messages have been. So this will just give us a little extra insight and advice, maybe in terms of how to approach or integrate the reading. Oops. And the nice thing about the Crystal Spirits Oracle is if you are into crystals, or if that's something that interests you, it also gives you a crystal to think on or perhaps to connect with. Okay, so you guys have Sunstone. I would be really curious to see, because Sunstone did come out for another... I think it did come out for Pisces as well. I think that you and Pisces might have the same oracles with Treasure Island and Sunstone. So keep in mind repeating fives might be significant to you this month. But I'm going to read just directly from the book, and you can see how that resonates for you. Okay, so Sunstone, essential meaning: freedom, breaking through obstacles, the power to overcome limitations, knowing you can do it. That's definitely the Emperor energy, and obviously like fire and fire. So any of us can become so used to being restricted that when we have the potential to move beyond limitations, we stare in disbelief at the open door of the cage that has held us in captivity for far too long. Have you succumbed to the illusion of scarcity consciousness, inaccurately seeing yourself as stuck in old patterns, telling yourself that the situation is the same as it's always been, when in truth it has begun to shift? Sunstone Spirit's message is that the door really is open, and opportunities await you as you claim your freedom. You have the power to break through barriers. The parameters of your life are not what you thought they were. So much more is available to you than you imagined. So believe in your freedom, spread your wings, and fly. You can do it, for Sunstone Spirit is here to strengthen your resolve to leave that cage far behind you as you drink in the pleasure of being free and ready to live in a new way. You can choose from an array of opportunities the conscious universe has made available to you, so let go and be liberated. The conscious universe will help you avoid pitfalls and wrong turns that will wind you back around to the same old, same old. Simply enjoy this shift. Now is your time to experience the thrill of exhilarating freedom. So I think that's interesting that we've got like open doors and opportunities and you know, scarcity consciousness, because that really does align here. There's a relationship message. Your past and your wounds do not have to keep you stuck in old patterns. You are free to end your current relationship, start a new one, or transform the partnership to be what you want it to be. While you can never control another person or determine every set of events or circumstances you will experience, you will always have the freedom of choice. That's what this is, right? This includes the freedom to stop and reconnect with the conscious universe, drawing on the loving support and wisdom that can help you make the best choices for you. There are no limits on love, no obstacles to receiving that which you hope to experience. Enjoy your freedom, knowing that you have a firm foundation in love and the love that the conscious universe has for you. And that's it. So when I was talking about sometimes we can feel avoidant of making a decision because we don't feel ready, sometimes a decision might feel like a burden, right? But it's really freeing you if you are able to embrace that opportunity. And there's a prosperity message. You are at liberty to make any number of decisions about how to interact with the universal flow of abundance. Does that make you nervous, or are you excited? It's okay now to be a little bit of both, but be sure to embrace your freedom of choice, knowing that Sunstone Spirit is bolstering your ability to decide what you want to do. Advice from others can be helpful, but you have to listen to your heart and check in with your values before making your own decisions. You no longer have to feel bound by the old stories rooted in scarcity thinking. So believe that universal flow of abundance and enjoy your freedom to choose how you will interact with it. You've got this. And then there's meditation. Working with Sunstone helps us release our old emotions, be strong, and own our leadership qualities, which do not arise from a place of ego, but from a place of inspired leadership for the highest good of all. Sunstone teaches us to shine authentically and without fear. And that is the Emperor exalted, right? The highest expression of this Emperor is that really confident, passionate, inspired leader that is looking to move everyone toward the highest possible outcome, right? The shadow expression of the Emperor can be a very controlling, self-serving, egotistical kind of thing. So leading from a place of self-righteousness, or looking to get something for themselves, right? Looking to get up by standing on the heads of others, and maybe moving things forward in a way that is beneficial to some and hurtful to others, right? So really, this sunstone is kind of encouraging you to get into this Emperor energy and to see how that is going to transform your relationship to abundance even further, but also allow you to kind of bring more of that in, which is really nice. Like, this aligns almost perfectly. I'm going to get you one more oracle message just to see if there's anything else, any other advice to add on top of this. Oh, I almost had one jump out. Again, almost. Maybe there's a very specific message here for you. There we go. Oh, I love this. So it says, trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? So that's kind of what we were talking about in terms of making decisions, right? And trusting your path. We kind of have to have that connection to that abundance mentality and the belief that there are multiple opportunities to connect with, right? In order to take that kind of leap. So I'm going to read directly from the guidebook here. Let's see. Okay. Trust your path. The universe is conspiring. Keep facing your true north. Your job is not to pave the path, but simply to keep facing your true north and take one step after another. If you do this, you can't go wrong. The universe is conspiring. Don't waver or doubt. Use your heart as a compass and put one foot in front of the other. If you follow the invisible trail of what lights you up, you will light up the world without even trying. Most people don't follow the highest call of their soul because they're waiting to see the end destination before they take the first step. That's this energy here. If you take one baby step each day, within a year, you will have taken 365 steps in your dedicated direction. If you want to write a book, write a page every day. If you want to change careers, do one thing every day in dedication to that. Before you know it, in just a year from now, you will turn back and look in awe at how far you have journeyed. Keep moving and open yourself up to a whole new level of support and receiving. Things are not going to work out the way you are planning, but if you have a little faith and keep showing up, they will work out even better than you could possibly imagine. That's the Treasure Island. Don't micromanage the universe. Trust your path and let your soul lead the way. And then there's an inquiry for you. If you knew you would be supported no matter what would you do? So this is kind of telling me, like, there must be something that's calling to you, something that you're longing to do or to pursue or to experience. And that, yeah, it's just about maintaining that confidence, allowing yourself to start first and foremost, but maintaining that confidence and just continuing to show up with the trust and the belief that you're going to get to where you're going. And it's probably going to be even better than you can imagine. But it requires us to be okay with not knowing how it's going to unfold or what we're going to experience, to be flexible and to trust that we can navigate and work through whatever comes up, and to just keep going, right? Because things can work out even more beautifully than we can ever imagine. So that's really wonderful and really encouraging. It sounds like there's a lot of really wonderful stuff up for grabs this month if you guys are in that energy and if you're feeling it. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm going to leave your reading here, Gemini. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this reading or you found it to be helpful at all, the best way to support me is to like this video on YouTube. You can also leave me a comment. Let me know what you think or how it resonated. Beyond that, if there's anyone you can think of that might enjoy my readings, you can feel free to share my content or my videos with them. And if you haven't already, make sure you stop by my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot. Ensure you're not only subscribed to the channel, but also sign up for notifications, which is the little bell icon. That will ensure that you receive notifications and you're kept up to date on new readings as they're posted. So Gemini, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope the remainder of the month is good to you. Spring is on the way, and this is a perfect energy to be in as you're kind of planting seeds and moving toward that manifestation of yours. So it's been an absolute pleasure reading for you. I am very much looking forward to reconnecting with you next month. And in the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.